Hello everyone and welcome back to Rising Sign Astrology. In today's video, we'll discuss the upcoming Mercury Cazimi on September 13th, which takes place when Mercury meets the Sun in the sign of Virgo. This moment is considered a rare flash of insight when the mind and communication align with pure clarity. It's an opening for new ideas, for breakthroughs, and the release of any mental clutter that just no longer serves a purpose. As always, I work with Western astrology using the whole sign house system as my base while weaving in any Vedic insights or fixed stars or asteroids when they shed any additional light on the bigger story. And if you enjoy these types of forecasts, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And if this video sparks something for you, giving it a like or sharing a comment really helps more people find the content. And for a personal look at how this transit plays out in your own chart, you can always check out the description blocks below or visit risingsignastrology.com to book a private reading. Now, many are asking for a health update. And I just want you to know that I am taking things slowly right now. I've been very much enjoying creating some of the content for this channel, but I'm going easy on myself and spending more time with family. And I won't be dishonest, right? The outlook is a very difficult one right now. Still, I'm focused on really appreciating the small blessings each day that each day brings and really deepening my relationship with my family and God. And I cannot express how much your thoughts and prayers mean to me, as well as my family. And I thank you sincerely for keeping us in your hearts. And with that said, let's jump in and get started. So the Mercury Cazimi on September 13th of this year is one of the standout reset points of the year, right? Mercury will join the Sun in Virgo at 21 degrees in its own home sign, bringing this moment of clarity and precision and really breakthrough thinking. And normally when a planet is too close to the Sun, it's said to be combust, right? The energy is weakened and it's burned up by the power of the Sun and the solar rays. But during that brief window of an exact conjunction known as a Cazimi, the planet sits in the heart of the Sun and becomes actually strengthened instead of diminished. So for Mercury, this means sharper insights and clearer perception and a channeling of ideas that feel not only large and luminous, but practical, right, in Virgo. So what makes this Cazimi especially powerful is, in my opinion, the context leading up to it. On September 11th, Mercury meets the South Node, K2 of the Moon, right? A point of karmic release. And this alignment is like a purge, inviting you to drop old, stale narratives or opinions or even communication habits that have just kept you spinning in cycles of stagnation. And the South Node tends to show us what's draining our energy rather than what's inspiring us or motivating us or sustaining our energy. And with Mercury involved, it's about loosening our grip on old, rigid ways of thinking that maybe once offered security, but are now just stunting our growth. Then, a day later, on September 12th, Mercury in Virgo formed a sextile to Jupiter in Cancer, offering this bridge between the intellect and our intuition. And this is a very expansive aspect, right? It's a supportive one. It would motivate learning and questioning and just prompt us to maybe rebalance our perspectives. And it could bring encouraging conversations and a deeper understanding, or just maybe the wherewithal or the confidence to follow some curiosity in pursuit of a new insight. And this is the setup before the Cazimi, right? The removal of outdated patterns and expanding our mental horizons so we're prepared to fully receive the clarity when that Cazimi arrives. And by the time Mercury enters the heart of the sun on September 13th, the atmosphere is pretty ripe for revelation, right? This Cazimi represents a seed moment for new ideas and mental clarity. It's as if the static starts to clear and the messages come through very loud and true. So you may receive flashes of understanding or breakthroughs in some area that you're trying to problem solve. Or maybe just the ability to articulate something that's been tangled up in your mind for weeks or some time. And these insights are not just like abstract, right? It's in Virgo, so it's going to come with that precision, right? In a way that can be applicable to daily life and moving forward in a practical way. I think it's also worth emphasizing how well placed Mercury is here, right? It's in Virgo. It's one of Mercury's home signs, right? It's where the planet functions with a lot of ease and a lot of dignity. And Mercury delights in Virgo's analytical nature and sharpness and eye for detail, right? The ability to really distill information into useful chunks and patterns that are digestible and practical. So in a Cazimi in its own sign, Mercury's like this, master craftsman that's working under the spotlight, right? The ideas aren't only clear, but they're going to be very useful and precise. So I think this makes the Cazimi here on September 13th, which is my birthday actually, a particularly interesting time and really a fertile ground for any new decisions or planning or problem solving that requires that level of accuracy but also foresight. So taken all together, the days around this Cazimi and leading up to it represent this cycle of release and then expansion and then finally crystallization, right? First, Mercury clears the mental debris with the South Node and then opens up new pathways of thought with Jupiter exalted in Cancer. And finally, it fuses with the Sun, pulling all of that process into a moment of clarity. So this is the invitation to let go of outdated ideas and to stretch your understanding and then anchor into a new perspective that feels not only insightful, but practical. So it is very much a turning point. And I think one of the more supportive Mercury moments of the entire year. So with that said, let's jump into each rising sign and talk about where all of this transformation, release, and expansion, and finally, crystallization is going to affect you in the mundane 3D world and, what part of the chart. Okay, my Aries rising. So for you, the Mercury Cazimi in Virgo on September 13th lands in your 6th house, the part of your chart connected to health and work and daily routines and even problem solving, right? And the lead up begins on the 11th when Mercury first meets the South Node in that same house. So this conjunction highlights patterns that have been draining your energy in the day-to-day life, whether that's inefficient habits, self-critical thinking, or just unproductive cycles in your work environment or health. And you may find that confronting the mental clutter that keeps you stuck in these repetitive routines or health patterns that are adversely affecting you just don't serve you anymore. So it's going to feel like a call to release outdated ways of handling responsibility and to create space for more new, effective, and sustainable practices in those areas. And the energy shifts on September 12th when Mercury in Virgo forms a supportive sextile with Jupiter in Cancer in your 4th house of home and family and your emotional foundation. And Jupiter's exalted in Cancer. So this is a very strong placement that can bring grounding and real perspective from your private life into how you handle your daily responsibilities. You may receive support from family or feel more rooted emotionally, giving you the confidence to make adjustments to your routines and workload. And this connection between your home and work life emphasizes balance. It's logic and structure in the sixth house, working hand in hand with the intuitive, nurturing qualities of the fourth. It's this real opportunity to expand your perspective on how your personal environment impacts your well-being and how your health and routines in turn affect your home life. And by September 13th, when Mercury fuses with the Sun in the heart of Virgo, you hit your Cazimi moment, right? The flash of clarity in your sixth house. So instead of Mercury being burned out by the Sun, the energy is going to be strengthened here. And in Virgo, it's operating in its own sign. That makes this a very powerful reset point for your health, your work habits, and just new innovative problem-solving strategies. So you may gain a new understanding of how to structure your days much more efficiently, or receive insight on how to better manage your health, or come up with new solutions that can help clear ongoing frustrations in the workplace. This moment is about crystallizing all of these insights from the days before, right? After clearing out the mental debris with the South Node and opening up these new family home perspectives with Jupiter, this Cazimi is going to deliver a really practical, usable breakthrough that you can really carry forward in your everyday life. So please drop a comment and let us know how this is playing out for you, and good luck. Okay, my Taurus rising. So for you, the Mercury cycle is unfolding in your fifth house of Virgo, where themes of children and creativity and romance and self-expression all take center stage. And on the 11th, Mercury meets the South Node here, signaling the need to release old, stale ways of thinking about these fifth house topics, right? Creativity, joy, romance, whatever the case may be. And this can look like letting go of old, rigid ideas about what counts as worthy self-expression, or even outdated expectations about what love and pleasure should look like. And the South Node K2 drains what no longer serves you, right? So this is a moment to notice where self-criticism or overthinking may be blocking your natural creative flow. And by clearing out those mental patterns, you can create room for a more authentic way of engaging with your day-to-day passions, the things that bring you joy. And the next day, on September 12th, Mercury in Virgo is going to make a sextile to Jupiter in Cancer in your third house. So Jupiter is exalted here. And in this position, it brings a sense of ease and support through those third house themes of communication and learning and siblings and connection to your local environment. So the bridge between the fifth and the third houses highlight how your creativity and personal expression can be strengthened, right, through conversation, through writing, through learning new skills. And you may find real encouragement to articulate your ideas at this time, or to share them with others, or explore new ways of, weaving curiosity but also creativity, right, together, right, the third and the fifth. So this is a day where I think logic and imagination can really align, and it's going to help you gain the perspective that you need to grow into this fuller, more expressive version of yourself. And then on September 13th, Mercury joins the Sun, right, in Virgo for this Cazimi moment, igniting the fifth house with a lot of insight and mental clarity. Mercury is in its own sign here. And instead of being burned out by the Sun, it's strengthened in the heart of the Sun at this time. So this is a real moment of crystallization, where you'll feel fresh inspiration strike, and where clarity about your life, your creative direction, your romantic choices, even, roles with children can come into a really sharp focus. And it's a real chance to cut through doubt or hesitation and see with real precision what brings you joy and how you can give it form, right? So I think taken all together, the days surrounding this Cazimi represent this cycle of release and expansion and crystallization, right? It clears away the outdated expectations in your fifth house. And then expanding your mind through Jupiter and the support of it in the third, before finally receiving this direct flash of clarity that's going to help you anchor much more into the authentic and joyful way forward that you're looking for. So good luck, my Taurus. Let me know how this is playing out for you. Okay, my Gemini rising. So for you, this Mercury Cazimi is a little extra significant because Mercury is also your chart ruler, right? So whatever Mercury is doing sets the tone for how you process, decide, and move through life. And the days leading up to the Cazimi begin with Mercury crossing the South Node in your fourth house of Virgo. So this signals a release of any mental clutter tied to home or family or even your private inner world, ancestral roots. And you may feel an urge to let go of outdated expectations or old thought patterns where you come from or how you handle, stability and home and belonging, right? All those early conditionings that we all have. And it's a clearing out phase that is ultimately trying to help you to stop cycling through the past and to make room for something new and better and more constructive. And from there, Mercury forms a sextile with Jupiter, exalted in Cancer, in your second house. So this now opens up a fresh pathway of thought around security and values and income. The second house is about what you have and what you rely on. So Jupiter's influence here can make you think bigger about your resources or your sense of self-worth. And because Mercury is your ruler, it isn't just about money or possessions. It's about how you use your mind and your voice to actually create stability in the world. And this sextile can be a supportive aspect between your fourth house, right, your inner foundation, and your second house of material resources. And it can encourage you to see how your mindset, even your family history, your lineage, influence and is influencing what you're building for yourself now. And finally, the next day, Mercury is going to fuse with the Sun in the Cazimi moment, right? In the heart of Virgo in your fourth house. So this moment now crystallizes all of that release, all of that expansion into a moment of really sharp clarity about your home, about your base of operations in life, right? Your family, your psychological roots. And a Cazimi feels like a mental spotlight. And since this involves your chart ruler, it is a rare moment of lucidity where your personal direction and identity can actually lock into place. You may feel much more certain about what you need to call home or how to take ownership of your private life. And I think taken all together, right, this sequence creates a cycle of release and expansion and then ultimate crystallization, clearing out the old stories and then opening new ideas about stability in life. And then cementing them into this clear vision in that Cazimi moment for your foundation moving forward. So, my Geminis, please drop a comment. Let me know how this is playing out for you, and good luck. Okay, my Cancer rising. So, for you, this Mercury Cazimi plays out in your third house of Virgo, making it a moment centered on communication, ideas, and the way you process information, right? And this is going to begin with Mercury meeting the South Node in the same house. So this is going to signal a release of mental debris, of old ways of thinking, unhelpful communication habits, even old repetitive conversations that just no longer serve you. And this third house is also tied to siblings and neighbors and your immediate environment. So You may find yourself recognizing where certain dialogues or day-to-day exchanges have just been more draining rather than supportive. And this is a clearing out stage where the mental noise is going to start to thin out. And the next day, Mercury is going to form a sextile to Jupiter, who's exalted in your Cancer first house. So this is where the opening really begins, right? Jupiter in your first is already boosting your sense of optimism and presence in the world, right? And, this supportive aspect to Mercury helps you broaden your mindset, right? New ideas come in that will reinforce confidence in your own abilities and own perspective. And you may feel really encouraged to express yourself more boldly at this time, seeing how your words and your outlook actually directly shape how other people perceive you. And the combination tells me that once you let go of old thought patterns or stale conversations or ways of communicating, you're going to be ready to speak and think in ways that actually align with your personal growth and new self-identity that Jupiter is cultivating. And finally, the next day, Mercury fuses with the Sun in Virgo in that Cazimi moment. And this is where everything crystallizes, right? The release of the mental clutter, the expansion of this fresh thought that channels and condenses into a sharper clarity in Virgo. And in the third house, this is a breakthrough in how you frame your ideas and how you communicate with others, right? Even how you handle just the constant flow of information in your day-to-day life. And for you, the Cazimi is a real spotlight on your mind itself, pulling together the lessons of what you need to release versus what you need to build upon. And it's ultimately going to leave you with a much clearer sense of how to use your voice and how to align your perspective moving forward. So taking it all together, this is a short period of release, expansion, and crystallization, right? Emptying out what no longer works and then strengthening your sense of self through communication. And finally, through that Cazimi moment, locking in this refined, new, purposeful way of expressing not only your ideas, but yourself and how you show up in the world. So good luck, my Cancer risings. Please drop a comment. Let me know how this is playing out for you. Thank you. Okay, my Leo rising. So for you, the Mercury Cazimi on September 13th falls in your second house of Virgo, spotlighting your income, your resources, your finances, and just your personal sense of value. And this begins with Mercury meeting the South Node in this house, which represents a release of old baggage. So in a practical sense, this could mean letting go of outdated ideas about money or possessions or what you need to feel secure. You may find yourself realizing that certain financial habits or attachments or even self-worth narratives you've been telling yourself no longer serve you. And this isn't about losing something, right? This is about clearing things away, debris that ultimately clutters your sense of stability. And because it involves your second house, it can feel very tangible, right? Prompting you to evaluate what you rely on and whether it actually truly supports you. And the next day, Mercury in Virgo is going to form a sextile with Jupiter exalted in your Cancer 12th house. So this is where expansion enters the picture, right? And it's doing so for you through the back door, right, of your mind, the 12th house, about what's hidden and private and working behind the scenes. And Jupiter here can bring protection and wisdom, certainly, through solitude or spirituality, reflection, meditation, certainly. And when Mercury connects to it, you're encouraged to see how your financial decisions and sense of self-worth are actually influenced by unconscious beliefs or maybe long-standing inner narratives that just no longer serve you. And you may get insights into how your private world affects your material world. But this is a supportive aspect. And it tells me that by opening yourself to that reflection and even stepping back, it can provide real clarity on the things that truly sustain you in life, right? And ultimately help you approach your second house of resources with a lot more perspective. Now, finally, the next day, Mercury will fuse with the sun, right? In that Cazimi moment, in the heart of Virgo, in that second house. And that is where everything is going to crystallize into this moment of clarity. Because the sun, remember, is your chart ruler, right? So this Cazimi carries extra weight for you. It's not just Mercury being illuminated. It's your very sense of identity and direction being sharpened through this second house lens of resources and values. So it's a very rare moment where your ruler and Mercury are working in harmony, right? Lighting up that connection between how you define yourself and what you hold on to. So I think taken together, these days form this unique cycle of letting go and then expansion and then ultimately this fruition, right? Clearing out old attachments, gaining perspective from the 12th house and these hidden sources of wisdom, and finally locking in all of that renewed clarity about what you truly value and then how that actually supports who you are in this world. So good luck, my Leo risings. Please drop a comment. Let me know how this is playing out for you, and best of luck. Okay, my Virgo rising. So for you, this Mercury Cazimi is especially personal, right? Because it's happening in your first house of yourself and your identity, and Mercury is your chart ruler. So that makes this less about, maybe abstract events or side stories, and much more about you and your voice and how you show up in the world. And this is all kicking off with Mercury meeting the South Node K2 in your first house, which signals this release of old mental debris directly tied to your self-image and your personal habits. So you may notice yourself letting go of outdated ways of thinking about who you are, or even how you communicate yourself to others. This is a new clearing out phase that's going to help you shed the weight of old, outdated narratives, but ultimately so you can step into this new, sharper, more authentic version of yourself. And from there, the very next day, Mercury in Virgo is going to form a sextile with Jupiter, which is exalted in your Cancer 11th house. So this is where the expansion starts to open up, showing how you, your individual mindset and your self-expression link to your wider communities and goals that you're a part of, the 11th house, right? It's about your friendships, your networks, and your long-term goals for the future. And Jupiter's here helping you see that bigger picture. So this sextile suggests that once you've released what no longer fits, you're able to connect much more fully to others and align your personal perspective with the right groups and networks and even future opportunities that support that. So this is a really affirming moment where your growth as an individual is going to feed directly into your ability to pursue your goals. And then as a result, find the right allies who can support and share that vision. And finally, the next day, Mercury will fuse with the sun in that Cazimi moment, right, in your first house of Virgo, pulling everything into this moment of clarity. And since Mercury is your chart ruler, this is a very rare alignment where your sense of self, your ruler, the sun, they're all in perfect union. So the effect is very personal for you, right? You may feel like there's this spotlight on you, right? This spotlight shining on you, on what you represent and how you're going to move forward. And taken all together, this sequence represents this new cycle of release and expansion and finally crystallization, right? First, you're shedding off these old self-concepts of self, then opening up these new pathways of connection with your networks and ambitions and dreams for the future. And finally, on the 13th, locking it all in with this renewed clarity about who you are, your identity, and ultimately how you step forward in the world with real confidence and belief in yourself. So good luck, my Virgos. Let me know how this is playing out for you and drop a comment below. Good luck. Okay, my Libra rising. So for you, the Mercury Cazimi on September 13th falls in your 12th house of Virgo, making this a very introspective period. It's much more of a behind the scenes moment for you. And the process begins with Mercury meeting the South Node Ketu in your 12th house, which emphasizes release, right? This is about clearing out the debris that's tied to hidden fears or subconscious patterns or self-sabotaging behaviors or just old private worries that are draining you. And the South Node here signals the need to let go of old cycles of overthinking or self-sabotage that continue to play out quietly in the background. You may find yourself becoming much more aware of what thoughts or habits are keeping you stuck in the past. And the timing now can really help you begin to unhook from all of them. And after this release, the next day, Mercury will form a sextile with Jupiter, who's exalted in your Cancer 10th house of career and public life. So this is where the expansion is going to start to come in. With Jupiter in such a visible and outwardly facing and ambitious part of the chart, this supportive aspect shows how clarity in your inner world, right, the 12th house, can create real opportunities in your outer world. So once you've begun to quiet some of the mental clutter of the 12th house, you're going to feel much freer to see how your outwardly professional path or even public reputation can actually start to grow. And you may find yourself realizing how much your private mindset influences the way you show up in your career or in the world. And the link between these houses tells me that inner reflection, right, and letting go of past patterns will directly open doors in your public life and career and professional sphere. And finally, the next day, Mercury will hit that Cazimi moment, right? It's going to fuse with the Sun in Virgo, right at the heart of your 12th house. So this will then crystallize everything into this really sharp, unquestionable insight around your inner life, right? The Sun brings light into places that are hidden. And Mercury joining it means your thinking and your self-awareness are going to align very clearly in a way that just cuts through that 12th house confusion. It can feel like a private, epiphany, one that just clarifies how you want to handle your inner world going forward in a way that so that it no longer undermines you or your outer goals in the world. And like I said to everybody, taken together, this is a sequence, a cycle of release, expansion, and crystallization, right? You're going to shed this old unconscious baggage in the 12th and recognize then how that frees up your ability in the outside world to pursue growth in your career. And finally, gaining that moment of clear understanding about those inner patterns in your 12th house and how you can move forward with much more confidence and purpose in your life that radiates into your public sphere. So good luck, my Libras. Please drop a comment. Let me know how this is playing out for you, and good luck. Okay, my Scorpio rising. So for you, the Mercury Cazimi on September 13th takes place in your 11th house of Virgo, making this a pretty key moment for your networks, your friendships, and just your long-term goals, dreams, and wishes for the future. And this begins with Mercury meeting the South Node in this part of your chart, which signals release. So this can involve clearing out outdated expectations around certain friendships or recognizing when maybe a group affiliation no longer aligns with who you are. And the South Node Ketu emphasizes letting go of what drains you. And in the 11th house, that often means loosening your grip on social ties or networks or ambitions that have just run their course. It's a clearing of mental debris around what communities you belong to and what visions and goals for the future that you still want to carry forward. And from there, the next day, Mercury is going to form a sextile with Jupiter exalted in your Cancer ninth house. So this is where the expansion starts to come into play, right? The ninth house is tied to higher learning and travel and philosophy and religion and just big picture expansive vision for the future. And Jupiter's strength here opens up new pathways of growth through those means of wisdom and faith and perspectives. So when Mercury in your 11th connects with Jupiter in your 9th, it highlights how your goals and networks can be enriched by broadening your worldview. And you may feel really inspired to connect with communities that reflect these evolving beliefs, or to pursue new ambitions that maybe stretch beyond just your current environment. And the support between these houses tells me that by aligning those long-term goals with your deeper principles, you can open doors to new growth that feel not only meaningful, but also sustainable. Now, the next day, Mercury fuses with the Sun in Virgo in the 11th house, in that Cazimi moment. So this now crystallizes everything in a sudden flash of clarity about your alliances, your friendships, your future direction, and what your dreams are for the future. And the Sun lights up those Mercurian insights, right? Allowing you to see clearly where you stand, not only in your social world, but also what goals or aspirations are worth investing in now. So it can feel like a moment of recognition, right? Realizing what relationships or group efforts actually truly align with your purpose now, but also which ones don't. So taken together, as I've said for everybody, the days around this Cazimi represent this cycle of release, expansion, and crystallization. First, letting go for you of the social baggage, and then opening yourself up to new, larger perspectives that can shape your goals and dreams for the future. And finally, gaining a much clearer and direct understanding of the kind of future that you want to move toward. So, good luck, my Scorpios. Please drop a comment below and let me know how this is playing out for you. And good luck. Okay, my Sagittarius rising. So, for you, the Mercury Cazimi on September 13th falls in your 10th house of Virgo, drawing the spotlight to your career, your public reputation, and the roles that you take on in the world. And the process begins with Mercury meeting the South Node in this house, right, which signals a period of release. This may involve clearing away outdated ambitions or old unhealthy dynamics with authority figures, or just any mental clutter tied to what you thought success in your career was supposed to look like. And the South Node K2 here is going to help you recognize when old professional narratives are just no longer serving you. So you can create space for something new and more aligned. So it's a moment to really drop the weight of other people's expectations of you and to rethink and reset how you think about your place in your career and the public sphere. And the next day, Mercury forms a sextile with Jupiter, who's exalted in your Cancer 8th house. So this is now the expansion phase, right? And in the 8th house, it points to shared resources and investments and just deepening the bonds of trust with another. And Jupiter's strength here can bring opportunities through collaboration or financial support that comes from others, whether that's a partner, a business alliance, or even an institution. And the sextile suggests that as you release these old career identities and baggages tied to your career, you may start seeing how outside resources or partnerships can support your growth. So it's about realizing that success doesn't always have to be carried alone, right? You can draw from deeper connections around you to help fuel that professional path of yours. Finally, the next day, Mercury does fuse with the Sun in Virgo in your 10th house in that Cazimi moment we spoke about. So this is that crystallization point where all that mental sorting and expansion is going to pull together into this flash of clarity about your public image and your career path. And it's also your title in the world, right? It's about being a wife or not a wife, about being employed or not employed. And these are just examples. It's not predictions. It's just how the title factors into a 10th house analysis. And the sun illuminates Mercury here, offering you this rare moment of focus on what your professional role and title and status truly means. So you may feel a sharp sense of direction about what ambitions are worth chasing and maybe which ones can now be left behind. And taken all together, the days around this Cazimi represent for everyone this cycle of release and expansion, and ultimately, crystallization. And for you, it's first about letting go of old, outdated career narratives, and then opening up to these new possibilities through shared resources or through deeper alliances with others. And finally, gaining a real clear, grounded vision of what your purpose is in the world, in your career. So good luck, my Sag risings. Please let me know how this is playing out for you, and drop a comment below and let us know how it's going. Okay, my Capricorn rising. So for you, the Mercury Cazimi on the 13th falls in your 9th house of Virgo, highlighting themes of expansion and beliefs and higher learning and, religion, long-term vision for the future. And it begins with Mercury meeting the South Node K2 in this house, which points to release. So this can show up as letting go of outdated philosophies or old, rigid belief systems. Maybe old, unproductive approaches to education or just growth in general. And you could find yourself realizing that certain frameworks that you've lived by just no longer resonate, or that holding on to them now is actually keeping you from moving forward. And the South Node here helps you clear that mental clutter tied to old ways of seeking truth, so you can approach your worldview with a new openness, right? And from there, the next day, Mercury is going to form a sextile with Jupiter, exalted in your Cancer 7th house. So this is the expansion phase that I've spoken about, showing how your relationships play into your broader vision of life for the future. And Jupiter's presence in the 7th emphasizes real growth and support through partners, right? As well as collaborators or close allies. And the connection to Mercury in the 9th suggests that your beliefs, your worldview, can be strengthened by these bonds. So this could look like a partner broadening your perspective in some way, or you finding inspiration through the exchange of ideas in your closest relationships. It's this reminder that your personal growth, your expansion, doesn't happen in isolation, right? The people you align with can open doors to much bigger opportunities and help you see the world from very new angles. And finally, the next day, Mercury will unite with the Sun in Virgo in that Cazimi moment in your 9th house, pulling the whole process into clarity. The sun lights up your path here, right? Crystallizing your thoughts about your belief, your vision, your religion, right? The principles that you want to live by. And since the 9th house also governs long distance connection and publishing, it could be a moment where you just recognize a clear direction for sharing your knowledge or expanding your reach in some way. But taken together for everyone, the days around this Cazimi really represent this cycle of letting go and then expanding and then this moment of clarity, right? And for you, it's about letting go of old mental frameworks that are just limiting your growth now. And then opening up new pathways of thought through your closest partnerships. And finally, gaining that moment of clarity about your vision for the future and the truths that you want to stand behind and believe in your life. So good luck, my Capricorns. Please let me know how this is playing out for you, and drop a comment below, and good luck. Okay, my Aquarius rising. So for you, the Mercury Cazimi on September 13th falls in your 8th house of Virgo, right? A place tied to shared resources and debts and intimacy and ultimately transformation. And for you, the process begins with Mercury meeting the South Node K2 in this house, signaling a release of old mental debris about what you share with others. So this could mean recognizing when old financial entanglements or unspoken expectations or even trust issues have just weighed on you for too long. And the South Node here helps you identify thought patterns that have kept you stuck in cycles of fear or dependency in this area, right? Giving you a chance to mentally let go and start approaching these matters with a renewed sense of balance, but also clarity, right? And the next day, Mercury in Virgo is going to form a sextile with Jupiter, exalted, in your Cancer 6th house. So this is where the expansion is coming into play. Linking themes of shared resources and transformation with your routines, your everyday work, and even your health. And Jupiter in the 6th brings growth through service and disciplined effort and improving your habits. And it's a supportive connection that says that practical steps in your daily life can really help you navigate something bigger as it relates to themes of the 8th house. So this might look like finding new, healthier ways to manage your shared responsibilities, or realizing that small improvements in your work or your health, your well-being, can give you a lot more control over some of the more complex commitments of the 8th house, whether they be financial, emotional, physical, or even sexual. And finally, the next day, Mercury will unite with the Sun in Virgo, forming that Cazimi moment in your 8th house we spoke about, right? Fusing everything into this one concentrated moment of clarity for you. And the Sun illuminates Mercury here, sharpening your awareness around interdependency and vulnerability and what needs to transform in your life. So it can feel like a moment of real inner recognition, right? Seeing clearly what you're willing to share, what boundaries are necessary, and what are the deeper truths that you could just no longer ignore. So taken all together, the days around this Cazimi represent this cycle of release and expansion and then crystallization, right? And for you, it's letting go of old thought patterns that are tied to fear or shared obligations. And then opening up these new pathways of growth through the practical adjustments in your daily work or in your health. And finally, crystallizing all of that into a much sharper understanding of how to handle your shared resources and how to approach and handle your deeper bonds in a way that actually supports your 8th house transformation. So good luck, my Aquarius risings. Please drop a comment. Let me know how this is playing out for you, and best of luck. Okay, my Pisces rising. So the Mercury Cazimi on September 13th is taking place in your 7th house of Virgo, bringing a keen attention to partnerships, your closest one-on-one dynamics, and your agreements that are governed by a contract. So this begins with Mercury meeting the South Node K2 in this house, which marks a moment of release. And here you may find yourself shedding old patterns of communication within relationships, right? Shedding old ways of thinking or speaking or even negotiating that just no longer work for you. And the South Node emphasizes clearing out old karmic debris. And in the 7th house, this often points to outdated scripts in how you relate to others. And this could involve recognizing when certain dynamics have been based on imbalance or even a lack of clarity, but ultimately gives you the chance to mentally reset your approach to your closest partnerships. And the next day, Mercury in Virgo forms a sextile with Jupiter, exalted in your Cancer fifth house. So this is especially important for you, right? Jupiter is your chart ruler. And what happens with Jupiter directly speaks to you, your growth, and even your sense of direction in life. And in the fifth house, Jupiter emphasizes creativity and joy and children and romance. And its supportive link to Mercury in your seventh house tells me that relationships can now open new channels of fun and self-expression and play. And this is a moment where partnering with someone new can really enhance your ability to enjoy life and to create and see where a relationship inspires you to think more expansively about not only joy, but also what makes you happy in life. And because Jupiter is exalted there, the opportunities can carry real weight, showing you that love, children, creativity, partnership are all working hand in hand to fuel your growth. And finally, the next day, Mercury will unite with the Sun in Virgo in that Cazimi moment in your seventh house, fusing everything into this one sharp moment of clarity. The Sun's light illuminates the Mercurian process, right? Crystallizing your awareness of relationships and how you engage with others. And for you, this isn't abstract, right? This is personal and direct, since your chart ruler Jupiter is activated here. This Cazimi can feel like a real breakthrough in how you see a partnership, revealing the patterns that you're going to leave behind, but also the new ways of connecting that are supporting this new person that you're becoming. So taken together, these days represent a real cycle of karmic release and expansion, and then finality, right? Letting go of old, stale communication dynamics in your closest relationships. And then opening up these new, fresh pathways of joy and inspiration through your chart ruler Jupiter in the fifth. And ultimately locking into this new, clear, refined understanding of how to move forward in your closest partnerships with not only greater confidence, but a much greater balance. So good luck, my Pisces. Please let me know how this is playing out for you and drop a comment below. Good luck. Well, thank you for sticking with me through this entire breakdown. That wraps our look at the Mercury Cazimi in Virgo. Like I said, it's a moment of mental clarity and new insight, and really just releasing these outdated ideas that have been keeping us in loops. And this is one of those rare windows where Mercury isn't being burned out by the sun, but it's being strengthened in the heart of it. And in Virgo, no less. So it's a true reset point for the mind and a chance to align not only your words, but your thoughts with real purpose and precision. And if you ever want to see exactly how this Cazimi shows up in your own chart, right? What house it's falling in, what planets it's triggering, or how you can make the most of this reset or any other transits that are coming up. You can always book a personal reading with me at risingsignastrology.com. And as always, if you enjoyed this video or gave you something to think about, please give it a like and hit subscribe. Drop a comment. It really helps the channel grow and make sure that more people find this type of astrology content. And please let me know in the comments, what have you been noticing around this Cazimi point, right? Let me know the clarity that's following it. And I love hearing your experiences, and I think it really helps others see how all of these cycles play out in real time in all of our respective houses that it's triggering. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.